Good morning. Welcome to Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. Wherever you are, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are going to get started with our first two community songs. Lift your voice, let your joy sing out. Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'm so glad somehow I got salvation now. Keeps the spirit moving in my soul. Every day I find peace and joy in mind. It keeps me singing, singing in my soul. Yes, I'm singing, oh, singing in my soul. When the troubles roll, I sing from morning to night. It makes my blood lighter. Yes, I'm singing in my soul. Yeah. Now and then something comes sneaking in, then I steal away and I pray. Yes, sometimes through the night comes music of delight, keeps me singing, singing in my soul. Yes, I'm singing in my soul. When troubles roll, when I sing from morning to night, it makes my burdens light. Yes, I'm singing in my soul. Yes, again I'm singing in my soul. When the troubles roll. Up above my head,
Welcome back. You sounded great. So my name is Reverend Rafe Ellis, and I am so privileged and honored to be the senior minister here at Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. I want to take a moment to welcome everyone joining us virtually this morning from YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom, from wherever you are on planet Earth and maybe beyond. I don't know who's joining. So let me tell you a little bit about who we are if you're a first-time guest, and remind us of who we are. We are a radically inclusive, spiritually progressive, supportive community that celebrates the diversity of creation. We strive to live authentic spiritual lives through a practical application of the teachings of science of mind. We engage in sacred practices that uplift our spirit, deepen our awareness, and ignite our soul's self-expression. We demonstrate active compassion to ourselves, to one another, and the world. We experience meaningful contribution through giving generously of our time, talents, and treasures, and we intentionally promote our community and our teachings. And one of the ways that you can participate in that promotion is by sharing this live stream on whatever social media platform that you use. You can also share the link from the YouTube recordings that are happening. It's recording now. Once that's up, you can share that link through email to anybody you think might enjoy these teachings. And so one of the things that we do to demonstrate our commitment to inclusion is our inclusion candle lighting ritual. And we light these candles to celebrate the unity of all peoples, all faiths, all beings, all life. We light the first candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the ways of primal spirituality. We light the second candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the third candle for Taoism, honoring the path of ultimate reality, the natural way. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the middle way, the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the teachings of Jesus as the path of love, forgiveness, and healing by the presence within. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of New Thought teachings, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles of love and law. We light the 10th candle for absolute inclusivity, affirming that all are welcome and celebrated here. And we light this final candle, honoring the infinity of oneness as all creation, seen and unseen. And so I invite you right where you are to once again lift your voice, join us in song as we sing our next community song. Enjoy.
The breath of God is breathing me and resting in the breath of God. I know that all is well. The breath of God is breathing me and resting in the breath of God. I know that all The grace of God is gracing me and resting in the grace of God. I know that all is well. The joy of God is joy in me and resting in the joy of God. I know that all is well. The love of God is loving me and resting in the love of God. I know that all is well. The breath of God is breathing me and resting in the breath of God. I know that all is well. I know that all is well. I know that all is well.
So this is our time of announcements, and you will see the slides on the screen with the announcement information so that you can take down whatever notes are effective for you to have. Take a screenshot of it, whatever works for you. So here we go. Got a class coming up, Spiritual Economics, and that was at the request of folks because we are living in times that are changing the economy. And so this is an opportunity to really get deeply educated and learn how to embody the abundance of our spiritual nature and translate that in practical terms to the economics of this world. That is starting on February 4th. We are still within the early bird registration on that. You can sign up for that. There's 2 sessions of it. You'll see there on the screen. It's on Thursday. Both sessions are on Thursday. It is being offered online only, so wherever you are, you can join in to this class. On Thursday morning, it's offered from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific time. And on Thursday evening, it's offered from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific time. The early bird registration is $205, and that needs to be paid in full by January 28th. Between January and 28th and February 4th, you can pay the full price at $245, and if you need to make installments, we have a plan for that as well. You can pay $70, which is the registration fee, including the first class, and then you can pay $30 per class each week prior to the beginning of the class to make the installment payments. The links are available for direct paying online for that in the newsletter. So I encourage you to take a look at that and join us. We have a good time. Also want to remind folks that we have a daily morning meditation practice that you can join Monday through Saturday. On Monday morning, Reverend Sarah Nichols does the practice through the Zoom platform, and the link is right there on the notice. And then Tuesday through Saturday, I do them, and they are live streamed from Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. So there's several places. There's also a bank of meditations and prayer because this has been happening since we closed our doors for the pandemic in March. And so there is a ton of morning meditation and prayer offerings there that you can avail yourself of at any time. Also want to remind folks of our dynamic and amazing Tuesday night offering, Actualizing Wholeness Discussion Group. It is a fun, deep dive into the mystery. We use the David Bohm dialogue, which essentially is just allowing ourselves to hear the divine nudges and dive into those without any particular agenda on where we're going. It's just literally the practice of conversation and exploration, and it is just a fabulous time. We also have the Wednesday night offering, the 52 weeks practice of spiritual activism for 2021. We're using the material from AGNT, which is the Association of Global New Thought, and it really is a time of exploring practical spiritual ways we can be in the world. It has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with activism as you might think about it. It's about activating our spirit. It's about living from our heart. It's about making conscious choices from that place of oneness within. And so that is on Wednesday evenings from 6 to 7. That is available on Zoom, and I encourage you to check it out. Would love to just spend time with you exploring. And now we have an announcement from the creativity of one of our board members. Here you go.
Hey everyone, I'm still Steven, and I'm still one of your trustees, and that is a blue diamond. You may or may not have heard the exciting news. Applications for new board members are open now. There are going to be 2, right in the blue diamond, 2 vacant slots on our board, and we would be so excited if we could fill both of them. Personally, I've had a very unique experience on the Board of Trustees since I came on right at the beginning of 2020, which, as we all know, was right at the beginning of 2020. So all the meetings that I've attended have been electronically. However, I've still had this remarkable sense of connection and of service. Some words that describe how it feels to serve on the Sierra Center Board of Trustees. Good girl. Rewarding. Fulfilling. Creative. Delicious. So what are you waiting for? New board members will be voted in at our coming annual member meeting on January 31st of this coming year, 2021. It'll be right after Sunday service. It's important that you come join us for an update on how the center has been doing, where we're going, and an opportunity to share your own voice. Be there or be. Thank you so much, everyone.
So this is our time of inward shift. And so I invite you to minimize the distractions in your immediate area. If you're driving, please continue to pay attention to that. There will be a meditation, short meditation, after which our practitioner this morning, Deborah Ellis, will bring us out of the meditation with our opening spiritual mind treatment, also known as affirmative prayer, and then lead us in reading our weekly affirmation. Enjoy.
As you drift more deeply inward, invite your inner self to contemplate these words. No one can rob me of the freedom to choose my next thought. While I don't always have the ability to change or control other people and events, I can choose to change my thoughts and perceptions about people and events. In this powerful way, I am in charge of my life experience in every holy moment.
Allowing your next breath to be a little bit deeper than the one before. Allowing the awareness of what is happening here, what is present here. It is the life of the beloved, of the one, that is expressing in and through and as all of creation. Its nature is perfect peace, perfect joy. It is the wholeness and the perfection. It is that very seed of life. It is the breath of life. And it is breathing me right now in this moment. So from this place of truth, I speak the word this morning, claiming and affirming that this one is expressing magnificently as all that is seen and all that is unseen. I give great thanks this morning for this time in spiritual community, for the message of our beloved Reverend Rafe, for all of the loving hands that have been a part of preparing this service this day, for this very earth that I stand on and that we share together, for this building, for every place of joy that has been expressed here and beyond. So thankful, so grateful to be in service and to recognize that the expansion of this oneness that we share together is happening right now. So I release into that activity of love and law and simply allow it to be so. And we anchor this together by saying, and so it is. Good morning, beauties. Welcome to the Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. We're so glad you're here. And wherever you're tuning in from, just know that you are welcome here. And my name is Deborah Ellis, and I am one of the licensed practitioners here in service to this center. And I feel so privileged to be in service to this center. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read the affirmation. I'm going to read it through once, and then we'll read it together. I am the ever-evolving, living embodiment of love. Here we go. I am the ever-evolving, living embodiment of love. And so it is. Blessed be. Welcome to this day.
hush. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. Don't go back to sleep. Don't do it. Don't go back to sleep.
Take a breath with me, if you will. So this morning we're continuing our dive into this idea of timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision. And we've looked at the ancient and sacred wisdom that our teachings are founded in and built upon. We have distinguished the evolution of form from the changeless nature of consciousness. And last week we really looked at the importance of living in the now, of reminding ourselves as frequently as we need to that principle, that changeless truth, is never bound by precedent. That whatever has gone on before, it's done. Whatever is going to happen in the future is the business of law. Our privilege, our opportunity is to stay anchored and aware in the moment, in the present. And so this morning, even though we know that the unfolding of life is the activity of law, our talk title this morning is Looking Ahead. Now notice it's looking ahead versus doing ahead. Because what we're really looking at this morning is how consciousness, how our beliefs, how what we're holding in our belief system sets the trajectory of our lives. It's really that place where we're submitting our order, if you will, to the factory of creation. Because that's what our beliefs do. Law just simply receives it. And then it goes to work on unfolding it. And it has it's operating from all of that wisdom. And so it unfolds things in divine timing with all of the perfect parts and all of the perfect connections. Our job is consciousness. Is what are we holding? What mental equivalent are we holding? What picture in our mind are we holding? I had the opportunity earlier this week to be one of the ministers that honored those folks in our community that have lost their lives to the COVID-19 virus. And I want to use the resource that came to me for that talk. Our friend, the Sufi poet Rumi. Because I think Rumi's words really invite us to understand how to get to that image, that mental equivalent that we want to hold in mind. And I learned something in this process because I've often heard these two verses used separately, and did not realize that they were part of the same poem. You'll recognize them. They come from Rumi's poem, A Great Wagon. And I'm beginning in the middle of the poem with the verse, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. So what is Rumi really calling us to there? It would be easy if he were calling us to distinguish between wrongdoing and right doing. Because we all have ideas of what's right and wrong. And some of our ideas are correct, and some of our very ideas might be incorrect. That's possible, yes. But what he's really calling us to, listen carefully, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. Our idea of right and wrong is based in our human experience. It's, dare I say, often based in our personal agenda of what we want to happen and what we think is right and wrong. And I think if we're being really honest with ourselves, a lot of those ideas come out of our attempt to mitigate or avoid pain in this human realm. What Rumi is calling us to is to go beyond that, to go inward to that spiritual place where there is no right or wrong, where there's just spirit unfolding, that wholeness, if you will, that is our nature. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. The soul is synonymous with law. The soul is literally the activity of Creator. And so if we reframe that, when the activity of Creator lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. It's too full because we're in the wholeness of it. And there are no words that can ever adequately describe the infinite. We need language. Absolutely, we need language. Because it's how we communicate in this embodiment of spirit. At the soul level, the communication is of the infinite. And there will never be finite words that accurately capture infinite. So what he's calling us to is to live from the soul, to go beyond our human ideas, go beyond our human agenda to the soul, to the soul. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make sense anymore. It doesn't make sense because in the soul, there's only one. And so the idea that we would talk about and other from that place of the soul doesn't make sense. So how do we live from that place? The Bible verse that comes to mind to frame it slightly differently, but says the same thing, is that we are in the world, but not of the world. And so how do we begin to actually put that into practice? How do we live in the world from that field of the soul? It's a tricky thing. Because words, as Don Miguel Ruiz teaches us, words are all agreements. The meaning that we give words establish a consciousness, establish a picture, if you will, a mental equivalent. The Course in Miracles talks about the same thing. I love those beginning exercises in the Course of Miracles where we go around the room or wherever environment we're in and acknowledge that that's a table because I've decided it's a table. That's a camcorder simply because I've decided it's a camcorder. That's what we've been taught. And so we have to understand the power of language as the agreements that we're holding in consciousness are our mental equivalents. So Rumi goes on. The next stanza in the Great Wagon, the breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the doorsill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. And what he's acknowledging there is exactly what the Bible says when it says we are in the world, but not of the world. We're going back and forth where the two worlds touch. And that back and forth activity is the activity of awareness, of consciousness, of where we put our attention. And our attention gives us vital information about our beliefs. Especially those things where we have a particularly passionate focus. It's giving us information about our beliefs. And the minute we have that information, we have the power of choice. And I am absolutely convinced with every fiber of my being that choice is the most powerful human thing that we have. Now, many of us get stuck in that place where, in that moment where we realize that our thoughts aren't where we want them. And we remember in our teaching that we're responsible for our experience. We're responsible for this life that we are creating. If we engage with that word responsibility from an agreement that it means it's your fault, we completely disempower ourselves. Because out beyond the ideas of right doing and wrongdoing is that field of wholeness where right and wrong don't exist. Now, let me be really clear. I am in no way suggesting that in this human realm we have license to do whatever we want and ignore that there are human level impacts and consequences. Quite the opposite. I'm suggesting that within us we have the capacity, we have the power, we have, dare I say, the privilege to shift. We have the power of creation itself within us, that as we shift what we're holding in consciousness, what is showing up as our life shifts. It's that simple. And that doesn't make any of it easy, but it does make it simple. And so we are here on planet Earth in a time of tremendous change. Tremendous change. Socially, economically, medically, spiritually, politically, even religiously. I saw an article yesterday where the Pope articulated his awareness that all, and he tossed in the word major religions, but it was an acknowledgement that all paths are leading to the same God. That is huge. That's huge. Whatever is unfolding, however it's unfolding, I invite you to hold on to those glimpses where the divide is shrinking. Because we can look at how big the divide is in so many areas, or we can focus on healing the divide and making it whole. And so I want to begin to wrap up with the words of Howard Thurman. And I'm actually going to use this as the closing prayer. Pay attention to those passionate moments. Pay attention to those moments where you are so clear about wholeness. When your point of clarity about oneness is unshakable. In those moments where you are certain that nothing is going to move you out of this belief, pay attention to those. Because life continues to happen. And I invite you to take the words of Howard Thurman as your prayer this week. You can find this online by his title. And so I invite you now to simply go inward. Close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. And simply listen to God speaking through the words of Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman. The Moments of My High Resolve from For the Inward Journey by Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. Despite the dullness and barrenness of the days that pass, If I search with due diligence, I can always find a deposit left by some former radiance. But I had forgotten. At the time it was full-orbed, glorious, and resplendent. I was so sure I would never forget. In the moment of its fullness, I was sure that it would illumine my path for all the rest of my journey. I had forgotten how easy it is to forget. There was no intent to betray what seemed so sure at the time. My response was whole, clean, authentic. But little by little, there crept into my life the dust and grit of the journey. Details, lower level demands, all kinds of cross currents. Nothing momentous, nothing overwhelming, nothing flagrant, just wear and tear. If there had been some direct challenge, a clear-cut issue, I would have fought it to the end and beyond. In the quietness of this place, surrounded by the all-pervading presence of God, my heart whispers, keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve, that in fair weather or in foul, in good times or in tempest, in days when the darkness and the foe are nameless or familiar, I may not forget that to which my life is committed. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. And so it is. Take another breath with me. Let's take one more breath as we shift into our time of giving. Blessed be. And so this is our time of inward, this is our time of sacred giving, generosity, participating in the law of circulation. If you were here in the room with me, it would be the time where we're passing the offering basket. And so we're going to speak our prosperity affirmation together. It's coming up on the screen there. Let's read this together, shall we? I give this gift with love and joy from a consciousness of abundance. Divine love blesses and prospers all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. And so I want to encourage you this morning, if our time together has fed you spiritually, that you participate in the activity of circulation, and that you do so this morning while it's fresh in your mind. There on the bottom of the screen, you'll see a couple of ways that you can give. You can give by going to our website, www.sierracenter.org, and then scroll across the top to the Donate tab, and it'll take you right to where you need to be. You're also welcome to mail your contribution through the United States Postal Service to Sierra Center for Spiritual Living, Post Office Box 2714, Grass Valley, California, 95945. Know that receiving begins with giving. And know that whatever you give is honored, appreciated, and celebrated. Thank you. And so just a couple of reminders as we head into our closing song. If you're not currently receiving our newsletter and would like to do so, please send me your email address with a simple statement that says, please send me the newsletter. There are laws that govern this from the internet side, and I can't just send it to you because I want to. You have to actually say you want it. And so you can send me an email to Rafe@sierracenter.org, and I will hook you up. Our newsletter is also available on our Facebook page, and so if you don't want to actually get it to your email box, you can look at it there anytime you want. You can also access the information through the calendar on our center's website. And the last thing is simply to remind you that the information for our practitioners is also available on the website. There's a prayer request form on the website. We love holding you in prayer. And so I invite you and I encourage you to remember you are not alone. Even though we are not here in the building together, you are not alone. Reach out. We would love to hold you in prayer for the greatest unfolding of your magnificent life. So now we're going to close out with our closing song. Let's work together. I'll see you on Zoom after the song.
One, two, three, four.